Leanne, good morning indeed. We're here at the Turbine Hall here in Johannesburg. It's just off West Street. You can hear behind me there's a bit of hustle and bustle, a bit of energy in the background there. Lots of men have gathered, men from all walks of life. Just to reflect a bit, Leanne, indeed, being a marathon runner myself, you can imagine what it's like at the end of a marathon, at the end of the race. People have gathered at the finishing line, celebrating. It's a very positive, energetic atmosphere. And what happened overnight in Boston, absolutely shocking, and really sincere condolences to, of course, the members of the families of those who died there and those who are in a critical condition, and of course the many who have been injured, over 140 as you've been reporting this morning. Now this morning we're going to be focusing particularly on an issue that has raised the ire and anger of many across of South African society. People of course are angry about the levels of rape that have been taking place in our country. People have been outraged, among others, by the rapes of grandmothers in Colini in the northwest, Anine Boyson, the rape and mutilation and murder of this young lady from the Western Cape, and a variety of other incidents that may for you come to mind as I describe some of the others that have occurred. So today it is going to be Brothers for Life. There's going to be also SANEC. Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe is going to be here. They're going to be thrashing out this issue to find a way forward for South Africa, for South African men to say, how do we ensure that women, the vulnerable members of our society, even children who get abused, do not have to be subjected to that kind of horror in our communities going forward. So we'll be talking to some of the representatives of the various NGOs who are here. We hope to also engage with the Deputy President, Kgalema Motlanthe. He's responsible for SANEC, to talk about programs that are in the ground, how they are penetrating communities, how are they reaching out into areas where the men are, and talk about exactly what is going on to ensure that women, children and the vulnerable groupings are safe in our communities. There's also been an admission by the Minister for Women, Children and People with Disabilities saying that South Africa is indeed facing a rape crisis. She was responding following the recent rape of a 90-year-old lady, a 90-year-old grandmother in Colini in the Northwest Province. Let's take a look at this insert.
In the first 7 weeks of 2013, there have been 90,000 sexual violation acts in South Africa only. It is believed that in South Africa, a woman is raped every 4 minutes. South Africa ranks number 1 in the world for reported rapes out of 120 Interpol member countries. But according to research, only 1 in 36 cases are reported. The country is currently battling the ongoing rape crimes, especially against elderly women and minors. The Northwest is one such a province that has seen a spate of rape crimes against the elderly and underage children.
Our government departments does not integrate their programs. We've got social workers, we've got police, we've got correctional services, we've got health people. They are working in silos. So they are frustrating us as civil society organizations. We've got the centers, the Tutusela centers in the hospitals, like for instance in Rustenburg at Job Shumangana Hospital. A Tutusela center was launched, but it's not operating. So we do have a problem with the facilities that are supposed to be there for the abused women and children.
This 90-year-old grandmother is the latest victim of the scourge. She was sexually assaulted with a sharp object to her head while asleep in her home. She says the suspect entered her home through a window. She was alone at the time of the incident. She says she is now living in fear as the suspect has not been arrested after fleeing on foot on the night of the incident.
He threatened to kill me if I made a sound. I just prayed to God to save me. When he was done, he left. I managed to gather strength to run out of the house to ask for help.
Northwest Police say the situation is out of control. They are now pleading with communities to come forward to assist.
We will be distributing whistles, and we will be giving old women pepper sprays to ensure that when the whistle is being blown, anybody from any other side must then run towards the direction of the whistle, because a whistle must signify that there is a crisis, that somebody's life is in danger.
According to psychologists, rape is usually caused by some psychological illness within the offender. The offender is either suffering from a mental illness or personality disorder.
Among older people especially, we have found that younger boys who rape older people, they do something in psychology, we call it reaction formation. Let's say the younger boy has a mother who is quite strict and dominant and quite powerful over the boy. Remember, he can't probably fight over the mother or fight with the mother, but then he goes out and he looks for a woman that probably is more like the mother. Instead of him fighting the mother, that woman becomes the replacement of the mother now.
But normal South Africans are fed up with their actions.
Now it's not safe for our grandmothers to stay alone at their homes.
I think that as a country we really do need to step up and having to respect the rights of children as well as all people.
Government says it's looking into curbing this type of crime.
That's why we call this a scourge. Indeed, it is a crisis. We are seeing today not only women being abused, raped, but also children being raped, the elderly being raped and abused. And we are saying we all need to stand up and fight this scourge. We have the council which will be leading this campaign and monitoring and ensuring that we implement the laws. We have the Domestic Violence Act, we have the Sexual Offences Act as part of the campaign.
Although the country is faced with this challenge, Cingwana says they're optimistic that government is winning the battle with its different programs. Cingwana says the fact that people are coming up and reporting the scourge is a positive sign. Athlenda Mati, SABC News, Mahikeng, Northwest.
All right, welcome back, and that just sketches the kind of situation that South Africans confront, and women in particular very vulnerable, the elderly, young women being abused and being raped. So men from all walks of life are gathering here today and looking at some of these issues. Joining us this morning to talk about this, Mandla Ndlovu, Brothers for Life Program Manager, and Bafana Khumalo, Chairperson of the Sanak Men's Center. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for you.
Thank you for joining us. So, Mandla, first tell us about the outcomes you're looking for from this dialogue here today.
Yeah, I think we all acknowledge that most of these acts are propagated by men, and we want men today to really come up with action plans of how, as men, they're going to come out and work towards finding solutions for the violence that we're experiencing in our communities. Yeah. What's important is that we don't want just to talk. After talking, we need to be able to say, this is what we're going to do.
Okay, so Bafana, aren't we preaching to the converted here? Are these men who are here not men who would, by their nature, not commit any kind of dastardly act as the ones that we've been reporting on?
Part of it is true, Vuyo, but we also know that from research, these things happen because no one holds the men who commit these acts accountable. So the approach is to say to those that don't do it, it's not enough to simply say, I don't abuse. Because when these abuses happen, you see what's happening, you watch what is happening, what is it that you do? The slogan that has been used is don't look away. We are therefore saying to men, there's something that you can do. You can call 10-111, you can talk to a brother that you know who is doing these acts, you can hold your friend accountable and say, how can you do these things? Because by our silence, we are therefore making these things to continue happening in our society.
How do you spread this message, whatever's going to be discussed and agreed to here, countrywide, to the Northwest, to the Western Cape, and to people who commit these kinds of acts?
Yeah. The first thing is that the men who are here mainly are men of influence, either in the field of business, labor, sport, and we're expecting them to make sure that this is not the end, this is just the beginning. And from here, we're actually moving on to community dialogues, community-based dialogues with men, where we need to find community solutions, and those are going to be spread out countrywide. And we are looking at a program for the whole year that will include a big march, in fact, big 9 marches, provincial marches, on the 9th of August in support of women and children by men. So from here onwards, we are going to have a very involved program involving men.
Marches, breakfast, conversation, dialogue. How does that change behavior, the behavior of people who are prone to these kinds of acts? How do you reach them so that their behavior changes?
Well, I mean, one of the target areas is prisons. We are doing work in prisons with offenders. Some of these offenders who have committed these acts that have put them there, and seeking to work with them to say, how do you change your behavior as you leave prison? How do you come out and become a better person? How do you talk to those that are outside so that they also don't come in? Because we don't think it's the solution simply to lock people up. We need to change the mindset of how men behave in South Africa, how men relate to women, how we begin to also respect ourselves. Because I don't think...
How do men relate to women in South Africa? How does it actually work?
Well, it's a big challenge, Vuyo, because men objectify women generally. I mean, the thinking is that women belong to men. Women are just things...
Does that cut across?
It cuts across. It cuts across race, it cuts across class, it cuts across religion. Because these things are happening all over, as we all know. And therefore, the challenge for us is how do we go beyond the veneer of, no, I don't do it, to a positive stance that says, I am going to make a positive contribution to ensure that women and children in this country are safe.
Why does it look like it's gotten worse?
It actually hasn't gotten worse. I think the reporting has gotten better. We've always said over the years that many of the rapes and the murders and all of that are not quite reported as they are. We know that the majority of rapes, for instance, are never reported even now. So it's not, I think the cases like the case of Anini Poisons have helped to bring the matters to the fore. It hasn't really gotten worse. It's always been this way, but we haven't always seen it this way.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. So, talking about how to address this challenge of rape, which is cutting across in our society, Mandla Ndlovu of Brothers for Life, Reverend Bafana Khumalo, who is with SANEC. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's gotten worse, or is it just simply a question of the reporting getting better? You're welcome to comment as well. Tweet at Mbuli Vuyo, at Leanne Manners. We hope a little bit later on to be joined by Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe, get his thoughts about what's going to be discussed and what his inputs are going to be. This is Morning Live on SABC2. Good morning to you. We're coming to you live from the Turbine Hall in Johannesburg.